Right, this is just a quickish one. I've not done a spiritual blog uh, for quite a long period of time. In fact, I've not even picked up my tarot cards or done any astrology or anything like that for a fair old period of time. But recently, my guy's been tapping me on the shoulder to do stuff like this. So at the moment, okay, what is going on, especially like with Syria being in the news very much, this is all part of the mass awakening. This is all part of us needing to really wake the fuck up as to what's going on in this planet. Now, I'm sorry. If you're spiritual and you are caught up in the corporate industry or corporatism or the corporate world, you're not being truly spiritual. And I should tell you why. Because the big corporations are the people who are in control in the planet. The big corporations are the people who could control governments and politicians for their own means. They create purposely wars and aggression and indifference between people and communities and populations. And why do they do this? They do this because there is profit in war. There's a lot of profit in war. There's a huge amount of profit in weapons. Right now in the UK, we face the worst austerity we've ever faced, yet the government have got £100 billion to replace the nuclear weapons we currently have. You know, as far as I know, nuclear weapons don't have a sell-by date, so why are we buying new ones when we don't even have money to feed and clothe the poor people in our own country, you know? So Syria is about a mass awakening. It's showing us what happens to people, ordinary individual people, being the victims and the pawns in the games of politics and the games of corporatism, because it's the corporate businesses that influence the politicians to make decisions about what happens. You know, so having to buy new aeroplanes, new fighter jets, new bombs, new weapons, all of this is why people are leaving Syria. There's been an uprising in the countries at war. The infrastructure has been completely destroyed because it suits the top 1% of the population. You might think I'm fucking crazy and I'm talking shit, blah blah blah. I don't give a flying fuck what you think, and really, honestly, we have to wake up to what's happening. Why we're fighting each other and why we're fighting each other and why we're fighting over the crumbs. They're gaining more and more and more and more control over our planet. Countries have stood up to corporate industries and corporate interests. Several South American countries have stood up to energy companies and oil companies wanting to come in and destroy the environment in those countries. And do you know what's happened? The corporate businesses have so much money, they're suing countries, suing a country, a government of a country, for potential loss of fucking earnings. Because that country said, no, you're not coming in to shut down our rainforest. No, you're not coming in to destroy our environment. No, you're not coming in to pollute our rivers and pollute our water and pay our population low wages. We're not having it. They stood up. And these corporations are so powerful, they're taking governments to court. While they have the power, we will not ascend. The ascension of the planet is caught up in how we run the economy, how the economy is run, who runs it, and for the good of who. It's all part of it. I suggest you watch Thrive. Excuse me, and What the Bleep Do We Know? Because it tells you here, what's going on. The Rothschilds family, for example, they're worth $500 trillion and they own banks. But they own banks and they have funded both sides of every single war since Napoleonic times. Both sides. Both sides. Because there's profit to be made in war. There's profit to be made in conflict. Now, what we need to do, we need to switch that around for there to be a profit, but it'll be a smaller, much smaller profit to be made from making sure everyone's fed, making sure everyone's housed, making sure everyone's got education, making sure everyone's got access to clean water, making sure that we do things. Fuck the latest version of iPad or iPhone upgrades or whatever, or the newest television and stuff like that. All our attention has to be focused on making this planet better for everybody, better for every single individual on this planet. So they all have a stake on planet Earth, and they all are part of planet Earth, and they all have equality of opportunity and equality of access to food and water and clothing and education and healthcare. That is what it's all about. It's all part of the ascension of the planet, and we all have to wake up and be less concerned about I'm not saying we don't have to no longer have money or want to buy things or anything like that. We need to be a lot less consumeristic and support the smaller businesses, support the businesses that are for the planet, support the companies that are doing good, support the companies that are there for our interest rather than their own, and more especially support smaller businesses, smaller companies, who look after their people. Okay. Thank you.